Elon Musk built the most powerful AI supercomputer on the planet in 122 days, from an empty building to a working cluster. Just bolting and 100,000 GPUs took 19 days. For comparison, a typical data center this size takes 4 years to build. That kind of speed is unheard of in this industry, and someone else is paying the price. Musk built a supercomputer. He built it in a residential neighborhood in Memphis with no air pollution permits, next to homes where kids already have some of the highest asthma rates in the country. The supercomputer is called Colossus. It trains Grok, Musk's AI model, and every time somebody, somewhere on Earth, sends Grok a prompt, Colossus drinks water from under Memphis and pumps nitrogen dioxide into the air over Boxtown. Measurements by the University of Tennessee, commissioned by Time magazine, found that after xAI fired up, peak nitrogen dioxide levels in the air over Boxtown jumped 79%. And Memphis isn't a one-off. There are now more than 3,000 AI facilities like this across the US. The biggest ones drink as much water in a single day as an entire American city of 50,000 people. Musk isn't paying for it. A farmer in Georgia is with a dry well. A mother in Boxtown is with an inhaler for her kid. A homeowner in Virginia is with an electricity bill that's jumped 206% in 5 years. To understand how any of this became possible, you have to go back to the summer of 2024, to Memphis, Tennessee. The Electrolux plant shut down back in 2014. It left behind an empty 850,000 square foot shell. For 10 years, nobody touched it. Then in the summer of 2024, Musk turned that empty building into Colossus. 100,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs, each one running $30,000 to $40,000. $4 billion of hardware under one roof. A cluster like that needs an enormous amount of electricity, more than the entire city of Memphis can supply. So to save time, Musk's team rolled in 35 gas turbines next to the supercomputer, without proper air pollution permits, in a residential neighborhood. The turbines are still running. The neighborhood they sit in is called Boxtown, South Memphis. Before Musk showed up, kids in Boxtown already had some of the highest childhood asthma rates in the country, from the rail yards, the ports, the oil depots, and the chemical plants. Musk parked 35 turbines right on their doorstep. Those turbines emit nitrogen dioxide, formaldehyde, and carbon monoxide, around the clock. Nitrogen dioxide makes asthma worse. Formaldehyde is a carcinogen. Carbon monoxide is toxic to the heart and the brain. The closest home is half a mile from the turbines. What about the $200 million water treatment plant Musk promised to build to protect the city's drinking water? As of May 2026, still not built. Construction is stalled. The official contract between xAI and the city's water utility, MLGW, still hasn't been signed. Musk keeps pulling clean artesian water out of the Memphis sand aquifer, the underground reservoir the whole city drinks from. And while you're watching this video, Colossus 2 is already running next to Colossus 1. Colossus 3 is under construction. The xAI complex in Memphis is now drinking 5.7 million gallons of water per day, and that's one city. Musk is already running the same strategy in Mississippi. In the South Haven suburbs, another 27 gas turbines, no air pollution permits. The local NAACP chapter and environmental lawyers at SELC are suing him in federal court. Memphis and Mississippi are the template. Meta, Microsoft, and Google are running the same play at bigger scale, just without the turbines in the backyard, through state-regulated utilities, paid for by ratepayers. You come home, and your landlord has quietly rented out your basement. You don't know who lives down there. You'll never meet them. But your electric bill goes up every month. The water from your faucet runs cloudy. And at night, the walls hum so loud, you can't sleep. When you go ask the landlord what the hell is going on, it turns out the new tenant has already worked everything out with him. And not just with him, with the property manager, the electrician, the plumber. Everyone knows, except you. That's what it looks like when a data center shows up in a small American town. Ask the farmers in Pinal County, Arizona. 5 years ago, their wells produced a steady flow of water, the same wells their families had used for over 100 years. In 2024, those wells started running dry, one after another. Not because of drought. Arizona has always had droughts. Because a new neighbor showed up 10 miles from their fields. That neighbor came in under a code name, Project Cypress. Developers walked into City Hall in Mesa, Arizona, a Phoenix suburb of 500,000 people, and told the mayor, "We need 700 acres, water access, and a building permit. But we can't tell you who our client is until you sign an NDA, a document that legally bars you from naming the client to anyone, including your own family." The mayor signed. So did dozens of other officials across Arizona, juggling 3 secret mega projects at once under the code names Cypress, Echo, and Raiden. They weren't even allowed to discuss them with each other. A year later, the documents went public. Cypress was Meta, Echo was Google, Raiden was Microsoft. By the time Mesa residents learned the names of their new neighbors, the water rights had already been locked up for 20 years. The contracts were signed, and the first wells were drilled. In American law, this scheme has a name: regulatory capture. It's when the agencies that are supposed to protect ordinary people, the rate commissions, the city councils, the environmental boards, end up tied to the same interests as the corporations they're supposed to police. In Virginia, that's Dominion Energy. In Tennessee and 6 other southern states, it's the Tennessee Valley Authority, a federal utility that powers the entire region. In Georgia, it's Georgia Power. On paper, these utilities are regulated to serve the public. In practice, they often act like business partners of big tech. And the AI rush has broken the system wide open. This year, planned coal plant retirements in the US were put on hold. The same coal plants that were scheduled to shut down 6 years ago are running at full capacity again. Coal is the dirtiest fuel on the grid. Burning a ton of coal releases twice as much carbon dioxide as a ton of natural gas, and dozens of times more heavy metals and soot. And we're cranking up a 19th century industry at full capacity to make a video on Google's VO render in 30 seconds instead of 60, to make Midjourney images come out faster, to make ChatGPT answer you in 2 seconds instead of 5. The most advanced technology of the 21st century runs on the dirtiest fuel there is. Now, what's the actual problem with the water? What happens when a server farm drinks 1 million gallons a day? The volume itself isn't the issue. It's where that water goes. And the fact that it grows every year. The water is used to cool the servers. It gets sprayed over hot radiators, absorbs the heat, and physically evaporates into the atmosphere. That water is never coming back into Arizona's aquifer. It'll fall as rain thousands of miles away, somewhere over the Atlantic or over Canada. For the local aquifer, that's a permanent loss. And the industry needs more of it every year. 5 years ago, US data centers drank about 60 billion gallons annually. Today, almost 200 billion. By the end of the decade, according to the Department of Energy, that number doubles again. The water that does stay in the system is industrial wastewater, full of cooling chemicals. That gets dumped into the city sewer, the same public system the city then has to treat, expand, and pay for. Google got caught doing exactly that in Mesa, pumping wastewater straight into the city system because the local treatment plant couldn't keep up. And who got asked to pay for expanding the plant? The city, which means the residents. Contracts signed, money paid, laws followed. Nobody to complain to. And if you think this is only an Arizona story, I have bad news. The same scheme is running right now, 3,000 miles away, in a small town in Georgia, where a woman named Beverly Morris no longer has clean water in her own well. She's in her 60s. She lives in Mansfield, a small town in Newton County, Georgia, about an hour east of Atlanta. Beverly bought her house here years ago. Quiet street, woods out the window, her own well in the yard, like most people in this part of Georgia. Water straight from the ground, clean, her own. 400 yards from her front porch, Meta is building a data center, a massive campus for training AI models. When construction started, sediment showed up in Beverly's well, a little at first. Then the water turned cloudy. Then it got to the point where she was afraid to drink it. Beverly went to Meta. Meta commissioned an independent study. The study didn't connect the problem to the company. For Beverly, that changed nothing. The water out of her tap is still water she's scared to drink. Now Beverly buys bottled water on a fixed income. So she won't get sick from the water in the home where she's lived half her life. Her exact words, "I'm afraid to drink our own water. It feels like we're fighting a losing battle that we never signed up for." 20 minutes from Beverly's house, the mayor of Mansfield, Blair Northen, sits in his office. There's a report on his desk. By 2030, Newton County is facing a drinking water shortage. To upgrade the infrastructure for the data center's demand, water rates for ordinary residents will have to go up 33%. Mayor Northen calls it absolutely terrible. But the mayor of a small Georgia town doesn't make the decisions about data centers. Those get made at the county level, at the state level, and at the Public Service Commission. And those officials don't have to live with the water shortage in Mansfield. Northen is up against Meta, Georgia Power, and the entire state of Georgia. He feels for Beverly, but he can't help her. And Mansfield isn't alone. In Palmetto, an hour from here, Mayor Teresa Thomas Smith found out the next county over was holding secret negotiations about a data center right on her city's border. She wasn't even invited to the meetings. "They weren't ready for me to even speak up," she told the press. In February 2026, the Palmetto City Council unanimously rewrote the zoning and banned data centers inside city limits entirely. In Sargent, locals collected 8,000 signatures and $25,000 for lawyers. Their headquarters is in a Baptist church because there's nowhere else. They lost the vote 3-2. They're preparing lawsuits. On December 19, 2025, the Georgia Public Service Commission unanimously approved Georgia Power's plan for nearly 10,000 megawatts of new capacity, mostly gas plants, with just enough battery storage and solar to make the plan look cleaner on paper. Capital cost? Between $15 billion and $60 billion. And on paper, it looks fine. Rates for ordinary residents are frozen until 2028, and the new infrastructure is supposed to be paid for by the data centers themselves: Meta, Google, Microsoft, and the rest. Sounds fair. There's one problem. These gas plants are meant to run for 30 to 40 years. If even one major customer breaks its contract, goes bankrupt, or just decides to move to another state, the bill for those gas plants gets pushed onto the residents through higher utility bills for decades. That's how utility regulation works in Georgia. Michael Hawthorne is a strategist at the Sierra Club, the oldest environmental organization in the United States. He has spent years on energy policy in the southern states. About this plan, Hawthorne said, "This plan serves Georgia Power and lets everybody else down. Georgians will be forced to pay for this massive gas build-out for decades." The reason is simple. Georgia Power makes more money for its shareholders when it builds. The more expensive the project, the bigger their profit. This is the same pattern playing out across the country. A big corporation walks into a small town. It has to be small, because in a big city they wouldn't get away with it. It has to be poor, because to a poor town the promised investment and jobs sound like salvation. And it has to be outmatched because the company brings lawyers and the town has none. The company arrives with promises, 20-year tax breaks, land leases at sweetheart rates, water and electricity priced for them and only them. The mayor shakes hands for the cameras. The local paper writes about the region's technological future. 2 years later, the real numbers show up. The data center is hungry, and its demand doesn't grow gradually. It jumps. The wells run dry. The substations overload. The treatment plants choke. And then the city finally figures it out. The infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Guess who pays? Not the corporation. The corporation already got its tax breaks. The residents pay through rates, through taxes, through Beverly Morris's well, which no longer has clean water in it. I'm not against AI. There's a real future in this technology. AI is already helping find new antibiotics, decode proteins, and detect cancer earlier. In the long run, it could help solve problems science has been stuck on for decades. I'm against how it's being built right now. Because what we're watching isn't technological progress. It's an AI rush, the gold rush of the 21st century. Everyone is tripping over themselves to be first, to grab the market, the water, the land, the electricity, before anyone else wakes up. And in that race, the people living next door almost never make it onto the balance sheet. The only thing that breaks the pattern, residents making themselves too expensive to ignore. If you start hearing local officials use phrases like economic development project, hyperscale campus, or just a new build under NDA, here's what actually works. Show up at city council and zoning board meetings before the vote. After the land has been rezoned and the contracts have been signed, fighting back costs 10 times more. File public records requests for the water and energy agreements. That's where you see who pays for what. And if you have your own well, get a water test done now, before any construction starts. Without a baseline, you won't be able to prove anything later. That's the difference between Beverly Morris, left alone with cloudy water, and Palmetto, which acted before the deal was locked in. Because by the time the bill arrives, the deal is already done. In these systems, silence is expensive. If you've seen something like this where you live, a data center going up nearby, a quiet rezoning vote, a utility bill that suddenly doesn't make sense, leave a comment and tell me what's happening in your town. In a couple of seconds, another video is going to show up. The algorithm already picked it for you. See you there.
With the digital drum. 35 turbines humming where the children call home. 5.7 million gallons drained from the ground. Beverly's well runs cloudy and nobody's around.